Welcome to the Sisterhood of Healing podcast, the podcast that wants to help you reach your best and most divine potential. Each week, we dive into topics concerning inner healing, wellness, and spirituality. We discuss strategies and practice from our own personal experiences regarding higher energies, trauma, and connecting to the divine as we take you through our own personal journeys to discover the highest versions of ourselves. In combination with guest speakers, we bring you a comprehensive guide to mental and spiritual wellness and the ability to connect to yourself and the world around you on a deeper level. I'm Nicole, and I'm Christina, and we are two sisters who want to take you along on our spiritual and healing journey. We are each on our own individual healing and spiritual path and bring unique perspectives regarding yoga, chakra healing, meditation, intuition, and trauma healing. Sometimes life is messy, sometimes it's confusing, and sometimes everything falls perfectly into place. Join us as we navigate the path to divine enlightenment together. Welcome, sisters, brothers, and non-binary listeners to Season 2 of the Sisterhood of Healing podcast.
We're back.
I feel like it's been a while.
Yeah, I feel like taking a pause from the podcast it was strange because it was so all-encompassing with our life for a while, and then taking a break and not having it and talking to all the amazing people that we spoke to. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we didn't take a break for too long because we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes.
We have been. Yeah, that's true.
We've been talking to a lot of pretty interesting people.
Yeah.
We're super excited to share these conversations in Season 2 with you guys.
I can't wait for everyone to hear them. I think we felt like we grew last year from our conversations, but I feel like this year we've just reached out to people that are, last year's more people within our circle. Yeah. This year we kind of reached outwards, and yeah, it helped us grow, and I think it's really going to help listeners grow as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So, Nicole, what have you been up to last year? Or since we've been away?
Since we've been away, I've been cooking up a baby.
That's right. Time of recording, Nicole is cooking a baby. You are how many weeks along?
I am almost 32 weeks along.
Yep.
So, yeah, I guess when this episode airs, actually, I will be 32 weeks on the nose. So, yeah, expecting a baby boy in 2 months in January, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yep.
So that's been very time-consuming for me. So this year has been less about what I'm doing for myself physically. So I have still been teaching yoga, but I've kind of stepped back on my own personal practice, and I'm not practicing as much, taking the time to just listen to my body, conserve my energy because I've had a lack of energy. But it's been a great year so far.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. And I know you wanted to continue teaching well on into your pregnancy, and you made it pretty far, I'd say.
Yeah, I made it up until last week.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive.
Pretty good. I thought maybe I would have been able to do it for at least a few more weeks, but my body just can't handle it anymore, and I felt very hypocritical as a yoga teacher telling my students to listen to their bodies, and I wasn't doing that on my own. So, yeah, a little upsetting having to step back from the teaching scene for a while, but I'm looking forward to having more time to focus on my own needs.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Practice what you preach, definitely. And look after yourself first, because I feel like we do such a good job, especially as women, we do such a good job at looking after others and giving other people good advice, but we don't always necessarily put ourselves first or practice the same advice that we give out to others. So yeah, good for you.
Yeah, and I feel like I've said it before on the podcast, but you can't fill other people's, or you can't fill other people's cup from your empty cup.
Yeah.
Is that how the saying goes?
Yeah.
So how am I showing up for my students if I'm not a
full human standing at the front of class, if I'm mentally and physically drained, then that's going to show in my classes. So yeah, I needed to take a step back for myself and for my students.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing since last season?
I feel like since we paused for the season, or paused at the end of the season in April, I don't know, like, 2022 has been such an odd year. I feel like 2021, I ended it so energized because I came out of this, like, great, call it spiritual awakening, the end of my great healing, and it was just, like, such an empowering time. And I feel like this year, I was tested a lot. Like, there were a lot of tests or a lot of things that came up to, and like I always knew, I'm like, this is a test, it's like too obvious as a test, to kind of challenge, I guess, my growth and maybe like propel me into like solidifying what I had learned. So 2022 was like a really weird year for that. Not to say it's a bad year, just a weird year, especially coming off of the high of 2021 where like I reached like such a good place, like, within myself, and like a strong sense of knowing and like what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go, and I felt the best I'd ever had. And I definitely still do feel good, but I don't know, it's just been a weird year.
I feel like it's been a year of purging, of like letting go of like things and relationships that aren't serving us.
Oh yeah. I'd have to say it's been very heavy in terms of letting go of relationships. Yeah, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it's just the way that the cards have aligned. And yeah, but I have to say that it's really opened my eyes to those really important core relationships and really strengthened those, or made me realize how important those people were. I guess.
Yeah, no, I feel the same, just with not having like physical energy to do much. It made me like be mindful of who I want to spend the energy that I do have on.
Yeah, I felt like I was giving, like, in the past, my whole life, as far as I've known, like, I've always been someone who's given of my time to others because I want to help other people, even when it's not been a healthy situation for me. I'm like, oh, I want to make them feel better, or like,
Yeah.
Oh, like they're lonely, or oh this or oh that. But now I'm like, that's way too much energy. I'm getting nothing from this relationship. I'm expending so much. I'm exhausted. This isn't aligned with who I am, with anything. So yeah, some tough choices, I guess, were made. But.
Yeah, I feel like I've gone through the same thing where like there's been some relationships in my life that I've had to really think about and assess like whether or not these are relationships that I want to continue with, because like what am I getting out of these relationships? Does it feel like it's more input than output?
And I really struggled too with exactly what you said, like, what am I getting out of this? I really struggled with the idea of, well, am I being selfish for thinking, what am I getting out of this? But I always think of, well, I've always been selfless. Like, I've always taken on friends, relationships, whatever, where I'm wanting to help the other person and have really been neglected in many different ways. Whether that's not being true to myself, or, you know, the other person not meeting me 50-50 or whatever it is. So yeah, that was a really hard thing to swallow, where I'm thinking, what am I getting out of this? To understand that, you know, I had to put myself first, emotions, mental health, whatever it was.
Yeah, you and I are people who like always felt bad
for
our peers and would kind of just like take them in and be a friend, but yeah, we're not doing that anymore.
No.
We're all focusing on
What's
relationships
healthiest,
that serve us, that are healthy for us, and not feeling guilty for that.
Yes.
I'm notorious for feeling guilty for those other people. And not that I'm like trying to make these people feel unwanted or like upset. Like I don't want to be hurtful, but I just need to do things for myself.
And it happens. People come into your life for a season, a reason, or a
Lifetime.
Yep.
So
That's
true.
very true.
So, Christina, you've been working on something pretty huge, I would say. Pretty impressive. You've been writing a book.
I did. I have been.
Yeah. You found an editor.
I did find an editor. Yeah. I actually used, so one of the people I look up to in like the podcast world and like the divorce world, the self-healing world, whatever, is Gabrielle Stone. I just love her. I discovered her podcast early on in my journey. And she has a book called Eat, Pray, FML and a podcast by the same name. And, you know, she wrote her own book about her journey. And hers reads more as a narrative, whereas mine's kind of a self-help. So it's different. But I ended up reaching out to her, asking her about her editor because she sings praises for her editor, like loved her. And so hired her, and I've got through the first draft and am working through editing it right now, which is such a painful process because, I don't know, and I was an English major in university, so I wrote a lot of papers, and I know what the writing process is like, and you know, sometimes like you sit down, you get it done, and you're like, no, like this isn't right. Like I was pretty cool of my own stuff, so I'd go over it with a fine-tooth comb and like go over different like drafts of it and whatever. But editing a book is a much more daunting task because it's larger and your audience is everyone everywhere, not just your TA. So it's a lot more, I feel really vulnerable, like
It's a
knowing that I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah.
Knowing that I'm going to put it out there, but first I have to actually sit my butt down and edit it. And it's so hard because like I work full time. By the time I get home, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So it's been hard, but you know, I think like when I'm focused, when I can focus most is when I kind of remind myself like, okay, this is like going out into the world, and this is hopefully like my goal is that it's going to help other people. Right? So, and it's based on my own healing journey. So like the kind of like gateways that I passed over, like the different like realizations, the different moments that I had where I'm like, oh, like I just hit another level in my learning. It's about those like different levels. There's like 8 different levels. And I take readers through that. So kind of what each level is, how I experienced it, how I worked through it, and then like steps that they can do it. So yeah, so it's a little like self-healing book.
I'm looking forward to reading it. I know you shared the draft with me and I started reading it and I actually haven't finished it.
Well, it's so funny because I finished the draft and I was like, yes, and I sent it to the editor, and the editor was really sweet. She's like, when she gave back the notes, she's like, first of all, congratulations on finishing the book. Many people say they want to write one, but few people actually finish it. And I was like, oh, shed a tear. I'm like, I felt like, you know, when you walk across the stage in university and you're like, oh my God, I actually made it. Yeah, it was kind of like that. But then I sat down I read through her edits. I'm like, yeah. Like, I can definitely see this, and I'll have to fix it there. And then when I sat down, so I finished the book in March and sent it off to her, and then finally sat down to give it a good edit and go through everything. It wasn't until August. Like, it was a long time because I had other things going on or I just wasn't in the right mindset. And I sat down and I'm reading through it and I'm like, God, this sucks. Like, why? I'm reading through it because, and I think too, because I'm in a different headspace now than I was when I started the book, when I was halfway through the book, and when I finished the book. I'm in a different headspace. And so a lot of the superfluous stuff, I don't need it. And I see it now. I'm like, I don't need this. This needs to go. And so I'm just cutting things left, right, and center and just adding things that are more helpful. So I can't wait to get that out in the world. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
You've also gotten a certification.
Oh yeah, I did. So I last December I registered for Melanie Monaco's self-love coaching course, and Melanie's a wonderful person, and you yourself can access her coaching course to become a certified self-love coach. So it's a 7-month long course, and I put a program together also based on like my 8 steps of healing. So it's obviously, you know, more in depth and more comprehensive, and there's more support and there's one-on-ones in the course. In comparison to the book, obviously the book is just, right now it's like 72 pages. But the course is a full course, and so I've got all the material for that, and I've got everything up and running, and so we're gonna launch another program in January. So the launch for that will come soon. It's gonna creep up. Another month we'll launch, and then hopefully I can start helping people. I think I actually have it set to start, I think maybe January 1st or 2nd, just because that's the first Sunday of the month. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, so we'll advertise that on our Instagram, on our TikTok for sure.
Yeah, and it's a nice way, I think, to not only help other people but connect with people. And I know a lot of the clients, you know, especially in their consultations, it's really nice to connect to them and to heal their stories and to know, or to hear their stories and to know that you've like been through the same thing and that you can like hold their hand and support them through it. It's nice to know that. I don't know, I feel like I was going in alone and blind when I decided like I need to get my act together and I need to heal, and there's some serious work that needs to be done, and it's really hard going at it on your own. But it's, I don't know, I think like a lot of clients are like, oh, okay, like great, so this is there and you're here and oh, you've experienced the same thing. And yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, I like to let people know they're not alone.
Yeah, you're building a community. Like we're building the Sisterhood community, but you're also building your own community on your own with this course.
Yeah.
So that's a little peek into what we've been doing. I feel like, you know, we've done quite a bit over the last few months.
Yeah. We sat down and we're like, okay, so what have we done over last year? I'm like, I haven't done anything. And Nicole highlighted it, and Nicole's like, I haven't done anything. I'm like, no, you've done all this. And so when when you're in the moment, you don't realize where you are or where you've been. You don't realize where you've been until you stop and take a moment to actually look back. And then you realize where you've come from and all you've accomplished. And even if it's big or small, I don't know, I've started getting up earlier. I think that's a big accomplishment.
Good for you. I think I've been sleeping more or trying to sleep more, trying to get all of the sleep that I possibly can.
Yeah, get it in now.
Before the baby comes.
Definitely get it in now.
But it feels impossible.
Especially with your dog.
Especially with the dog. But I'm definitely looking forward to another season of the podcast. Looking forward to having many more great conversations.
And we've had some really great ones so far. We've got some great conversations lined up. Some really, I feel, actually, okay, I was going to say this season, but I think last season I felt really inspired when we left people and left conversations. But like I said, like we went outside of our circle this year. So every time we finish a conversation with someone, I just want to go out and take on the world. I feel so motivated and so inspired. So hopefully we can bring that to all of you as well.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, well, we'll leave you there. Our next episode airs next Thursday, and we're going to start off with Brad J. Barnes, emotional intelligence coach. Just such a ball of energy. We can't wait for you to listen to him and also connect with him as well. So looking forward to having you back, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, sisters.
That's it for our show today. Thanks for joining. Remember, you can always reach out to us on our socials, on Instagram at sisterhood_of_healing, or on TikTok at Sisterhood of Healing. We love to hear from you, so please reach out to us at any time. Thank you for journeying with us today. We'll see you next time.